Hello, everyone. Welcome to the International Hour on my YouTube channel. I'm joined by the #1 NFL analyst in Budapest and Hungary, Botond. How you doing, Botond?
Hey all, glad to be here again. It was almost since 2 weeks ago when last time I was here. I was sitting here. I'm just excited. I just want to talk some really good things about the 49ers.
You missed last week because it was your anniversary?
Nope. Last week I got a lot of work to do. So.
Oh yeah. Anyway, well, I'm glad you're back.
It could have been your anniversary. I'm so happy to be back.
You're engaged, right? You're engaged, right?
Yeah, I'm engaged.
See, I knew that. Okay, so we're going to talk about Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo today. What Botond wants to talk about is the expectations versus the reality of the situation. I have a lot to say about this too. I'm curious to see where you're going to go with this, Botond.
Yeah. I think that this one is my favorite topic today because a lot of things to say about these things. First of all, you all know, guys who are following us in the past few weeks or months, that I just don't like Jimmy Garoppolo. I just don't like the idea that we have Jimmy Garoppolo right now after all those pathetic years with all those injuries. But right now in this situation, I have to agree with the thing that I think that Kyle Shanahan is thinking right now. Okay, It's complicated, but
okay.
I'm pretty sure that Jimmy will start week 1.
Okay,
and I'm pretty sure that he will start until the trade deadline.
Okay,
so I'm not expecting Trey Lance to be the starter for the 49ers in the next few weeks. At the start of the season, he will get some snaps during the preseason, I think. But if Jimmy can stay healthy, I'm pretty sure that Lance will start. And I will not be surprised if things changing until the season starts and Josh Rosen becomes the second string quarterback for the team, as long as Kyle Shanahan thinks that Trey is not ready.
Interesting. So you think the expectation is that Trey's going to start, but the reality is that he won't be ready?
Yeah.
Interesting. That's certainly possible. That's what my dad thinks too. We got a bottle of wine riding on this. We bet. And so I'm going to stick to my position and say, well, I think the expectation versus reality is this is the way I see it. To me, I think the expectations are what you said, that Jimmy's going to start week 1, because that's what the team's kind of said. And he's the vet and they're in a win now team. And Trey Lance didn't play last year and he's 21. He's coming from Division II. And there's a lot of reasons to think he might not be ready. But I think the reason they're not calling him the starter, in my opinion, is because has by far the most pressure of all the rookie quarterbacks this year. By far, Botond. Like Trevor Lawrence has none. Jaguars going nowhere. No one expects them to be good, or he doesn't have to produce right away or win right away. He has to be good, but he doesn't have to win right away. Same with Zach Wilson. He doesn't have to win. Justin Fields doesn't have to win. Mac Jones doesn't have to win. He doesn't have to play. But Trey Lance, he's on a really good team that can't afford to lose, and he's replacing someone who has a sterling record. So if he goes in there and they just anoint him and he struggles, that's rough. I mean, he's not afforded that time the way that Zach Wilson would or Trevor Lawrence. So I think that what they're doing is trying to take some of this pressure off of him and be like, all right, if we don't name him the starter and we just let him win a competition, well, then that's less pressure on him. So I think that he's going to win a competition and start week 1. And the reason they're not saying is they're trying to take some of this pressure on him, because it's like he has all the pressure in the world on him. But that's just how I see it. And I think maybe I'm biased because I have a bottle of wine, an expensive one, riding on this one. Expensive.
Wow. You know what I think of? Kyle Shanahan won't say who will be the starting quarterback for the team until the first week. So we will not know what is going to happen with the 49ers. Right. I'm pretty sure that there are some new things that Kyle just wants to build into this offense during the offseason. I think we will just change how we run the ball, and we will see some sparks of it during the preseason, I'm sorry. Right now, I think that Jimmy may do that better than Lance would. Yeah. And that's why I think of that Jimmy will start. But if I am talking about expectations, I must say that I have to make a difference between what journalists, coaches, and other people are thinking of this team right now and what fans are expecting from this team. And I'm pretty sure that fans want Trey to start instantly. The main thing that you have to understand when you are asking somebody to change his opinion about what he thinks of rookie quarterback is that these guys from the universities and if we are talking about the case of Trey, we must say that Trey wasn't a part of a pro-style offense. And in the past few years, Kai just wants to play an upgraded pro-style offense, no option plays. I think the first time when I saw from Kai some RPOs was last season.
He's been slowly building him into his offense, yeah.
So right now, I do think that at the start of the season until week 8, we would try to convert our offense into a new one, to build in all the other rookies, Trey Sermon, and hopefully Jalen Hurd, if he gets healthy this season. And after that, we would try to start Trey Lance. Not faster. That's right.
Well, we'll see. Look, here's one thing I can guarantee. Until the 49ers get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo, they will say nothing but nice things about him. Because as much as they're trying to win games right now, they have a parallel agenda, and it is pump up Jimmy Garoppolo's trade value by any means necessary. That is going neck and neck with winning at all costs right now. And until he's off the roster, they're only going to hear people say, like, man, Jimmy looks great. This is his best offseason. He's just really doing it. Trey Lance has got his work cut out for. You're going to hear that, and then you're going to see him in preseason. My theory is that they're going to play him in preseason. He's going to look good, and they're going to trade him after one preseason game. And here's why. If they feel Trey Lance is ready, and maybe they won't feel Trey Lance is ready, but if they do, then they need to get Jimmy Garoppolo out of here and figure out who the backup is. And they need to get Sudfeld and Rosen on the field and give them some playing time to figure out what they have. So I actually think Garoppolo could be out of here during preseason, but this all depends on whether Trey Lance looks ready. And as you said, you don't think he will. So we'll just have to see. Trey, it's up to you. We got a couple of questions. Cam says, hey, Grant, been a fan ever since you were writing at the PD. Would love to get on a private call with you sometime. First, don't know. All right, Cam. Well, you can email me, grantcohn@gmail.com. Holler at me. All right, hold on. Cam says again, also, what do you think will get the majority of playing time in the preseason, QBs and running backs? It's going to be interesting. 4 quarterbacks in 3 preseason games. How do you split that up?
First game, I would give the whole game to Josh Rosen because I just want to see how he plays football right now, if he developed in the past few years or not. After that, I would share the playtime between Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Josh Rosen.
Yeah. I would like to get Jimmy Garoppolo off the team as soon as possible to get Sudfeld and Rosen some reps because one of those two is going to be on the team for a while. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they go from 4 games to 3. Because remember, that 4th game used to be a lot of playing time for the backups. That was pretty much every backup would play extensive time, but now you don't have that anymore. So when is the Rosen game? When is the Sudfeld game? How do you do that? That's a good question. Domain Threat says, if Lance beats Jimmy out in camp, he would have earned it. I expect Jimmy to come out a la Aaron Rodgers and look his best to rise to the challenge. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what they're going for. Take the pressure off of Trey. Yeah. If he looks great. The Niners didn't, put any expectations on him. He just beat out Jimmy. And if not, then the expectation was for Trey Lance to sit on the bench anyway. That seems to make sense. All right, let's move on.
Absolutely.
Botond found an interesting stat about Jimmy Garoppolo. Would you share it with us?
Yeah. If we are talking about big-time throws, the percentage of success of those big-time throws, Jimmy is the worst from 32 qualifying quarterbacks in the league in the past 2 years with only 2.6%.
What is a big-time throw?
Well, it's hard to define, and I'm not sure if right now I have all the words that I need in English. So sure. It's kind of a game-winning drive throw when you just have to make a throw to change the outcome of a game.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Makes sense.
and Jimmy is the worst of that.
Really?
So I don't know if you remember, you tweeted about 2 days ago an interesting and funny tweet about who to blame after a Super Bowl loss, after 2 years of that Super Bowl. And I was there and writing and laughing at the same time, just blame Jimmy. And it was just a joke, because I'm still thinking of that Kai was the main reason why we lost that Super Bowl. We can blame the refs, we can blame a lot of things, but you have to admit it, Kai was the guy who made mistakes during the Super Bowl. But it's an interesting fact that Jimmy is so bad at that kind of throws. Yes,
pressure on, gotta have it. Yep.
Because if you are looking for a franchise quarterback, you are looking for a guy who has nerves of steel and make these kind of throws when it matters the most. Remember Joe Montana, for example.
Yes.
So
absolutely. Or with the Rams, Matthew Stafford. Everyone talks about what he does in the fourth quarter and how he carries the Lions and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you make players. Yeah, you make players better. You rise to the occasion. If you're going to win a Super Bowl, you're going to have to make a bunch of big time throws along the way in that season. And what we saw with Jimmy Garoppolo was he kind of got everything went right. They started off 8-0, even though he didn't play super great in a lot of those games. Nope. And then he kind of the team sort of limped the rest of the way through the season. They went 5-3 to finish it. And in the Super Bowl, first of all, he didn't have to make any big throws in the NFC Championship game. He didn't have to make any big throws in the NFC wildcard game. And then in the Super Bowl, when he had to make big throws, he couldn't hit the broad side of a barn. So I think it's fair for the Niners to say, well, we've lost confidence and you're not a big game quarterback. Now, maybe they should have realized this a year ago and brought in Tom Brady, who definitely is a big time quarterback who makes big, but they have Trey Lance now. And, maybe that's the right guy for them. So
yeah,
but maybe Trey Lance makes big time throws. That guy wins a lot.
Yep. If you are thinking about big time throws, then I will just put quarterbacks into different columns. One column is for the great quarterbacks when they have pressure on them, and the bad quarterbacks. And there are a bunch of great quarterbacks who are otherwise not elite, but when the time comes, they are an Iceman, or I don't know who doesn't care anything else, just winning a game. That's it.
Well, in 2019, I feel like he was better at making big time throws, and his big time throws were the third down conversions. He was good at. He had, I think, the most third down conversions in the league. He also had a couple of famous throws to win games, like the one against the Rams at the end, although that was an underthrow. But still, also he had that nice game against the Saints. I think part of the reason he doesn't have big time throws, or in 2020 at least, is he's become so limited in where he can throw the ball, that everything has to be yards after the catch, and it doesn't seem like those are big time throws. Those are big time plays. Like, for example, when they beat the Saints in 2019, they gave away a lead. All right. They had a lead. They were going to lose. And then it came down to them with the ball at the very end. They had to convert and get down to field goal rate or whatever it was. Yep. It was 4th and 1, 4th and 2. He threw his big time throw in that situation was a throw in the backfield to George Kittle's shins, which George Kittle reached down, grabbed, and then broke 8 tackles, carried 7 players. That was the big time throw.
Well,
so I'm not surprised.
To be honest, I think that was more like a big time catch. And,
exactly.
Big time run with the ball, and
if that's your style of playing quarterback, you're not going to have a lot of big time throws. And I think we're going to see a lot of all I know is from 3 practices watching Trey Lance, I saw a lot of big time throws. So I was like, oh, it's been a while since I've seen someone on this practice field even attempt something like that. So
we will see if he can perform when there are thousands of people watching him and expecting him to be the next great quarterback with 49ers.
It's going to be interesting to see if Trey Lance brings out the best in him, because I felt like Alex Smith's game took off or went to another level when he started playing with Patrick Mahomes. To me, Alex Smith was always super conservative and cautious. And he felt like that's how he had to play in the NFL. And then they're going to replace him in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes. And he saw how aggressive Patrick Mahomes was in practice. And he's like, man, I got to play like this too to keep my job. And he did play that way his last year in Kansas City with Tyreek Hill, led the league in quarterback rating, really started airing it out down the field. Didn't matter, got replaced. Right call. But it brought out the best in him. And I wonder if Trey Lance will bring out the best. And Jimmy doesn't even try throwing deep anymore. He doesn't even try to extend plays. He's going to be going against a guy who does that every day in practice and makes his teammates go, ooh, and ah, you know what I'm saying? So I'm curious to see if Jimmy tries to keep pace with that kind of horsepower.
Hopefully he does.
Hopefully he's going to need to.
Then we are going to need to place.
Yeah, exactly. The main threat says, I'm more intrigued by the running back and slot wide receiver competition. Sermon could end up being the bell cow and Jennings or a healthy Hurd in the slot. What you think?
How I see that right now is that Jennings will be the main slot receiver this team is going to have during the season. That guy is a beast. Okay, he's not so fast, but he's a really, really, really great possession receiver, which is a really underestimated position in the NFL right now. And for the running backs, if we are going to change our style completely, then Sermon will be our leading back. But if we are not, then Mostert will still keep the number one running back spot for the next season. And I have some interesting ideas about Jalen Hurd. I do think that we will see some wingback formations from Kyle Shanahan next season, and we will see Jalen Hurd in a wingback position, in running back position, in tight end, and in slot receiver position as well. I think that he will be the X weapon of the 49ers next season if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, I can see that. I think between Hurd, Jennings, and James and Travis Benjamin, the Niners feel like they have a committee that can be a number 3 receiver. And if you know, Jennings seems to be the fallback option if Hurd can't go. Yeah. And then if Jennings isn't good, Sanu's the fallback option there. And then Richie James and Travis Benjamin are awfully similar. So I think that's why we're seeing like the Niners not go after and kill Harry or other wide receivers like that. They feel like they have, whether or not I don't know if it's necessarily a competition. It might just be like a committee of guys who complement each other, even at wide receiver.
Yeah, there are a bunch of different guys with different talent pools, with different things they are good at. I think that right now Kyle Shanahan is in a good position when he wants to try anybody from those wide receiver corps. I think that Jalen Hurd is a mismatch for almost anybody on the field when he's on the tight end position or in a wingback or running back position. And if he goes downfield to catch a ball, I think that Jennings will be a really, really great possession receiver. And all the other guys just give this team some different skill sets that Kai will use. I'm pretty sure that he will use all of them during the season.
Darian Small says a week ago, Jimmy Ward said on his Instagram story, would you consider me a safety? Do you think Jimmy would convert back to cornerback? I hope not. He's finally got a little success at one position, played there for a couple years in a row, and you want to move him back? I hope not. He's good in the slot against tight ends and some wide receivers, but he's a safety. I would consider him a safety. It's always been a safety.
I remember what I was thinking of him when we tried him as a cornerback for this team. I was thinking of him that he is one of our worst cornerbacks.
Good athlete. He just doesn't have the technique to play that position. I've talked to him about it. He's like, it's the hardest position to play. It's so technique driven. And most of the guys who are good at that have been doing it since they were in high school and have that technique ingrained. And he just looked like a really good athlete, kind of like a fish out of water, though. He didn't really know it. I've talked to him about that. He's like, man, I have so much respect for corners. I don't know how they do that. That's the hardest position. He's such a natural at safety, both free and strong. Yeah, he's a safety.
Yeah.
All right, one more from Domain Threat, and we're going to get back to our show. Thank you for the donation. Says, wide receiver core still needs a solid deep threat, though. And Mostert, I love him, but his upright running style isn't good health-wise. That's why Coleman started. Richie James Jr. is a deep threat. Travis Benjamin is a deep threat. I don't know if they can make it through a season.
Can play.
Brandon Ayuk is a deep threat. George Kittle's a deep threat.
We have seen Debo running some deep routes. Of course, he has not as good hands as the other guys have having this team, but he can do that as well. I don't think that we have a deep threat problem right now. The problem that we had
possession receivers actually
was the possession receiver.
They need possession receivers actually. You're going to see the deep threat. It's really been Jimmy holding them back. You're going to see it with Trey Lance. He's going to throw deep to George Kittle. Hey, turn me down a little bit. Just a little bit on your computer.
Just a second.
Yeah, it's a little bit echo.
I'm sorry.
All good.
Okay.
All right, we're cool. Yeah. So that's that. And then in terms of Mostert, I like Mostert. He's in the last year of his deal. He's almost 30. He still has less than 300 carries in his career. Just let him play football. And if he can't stay healthy, then that's the story of his career. I don't know what you're trying to save him for, man. He ain't going to be here next year.
Yeah, but if he can help this team win 1 or 2 games in a single season, then he is worth his money. That's what I'm thinking of right now. And his unique speed and strength combination with that kind of unknown athleticism that he has, just keep him. He's a beast.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next topic. Do you think Kyle Shanahan wants Joe Staley on the Niners coaching staff?
Joe Staley at least said that, and I'm pretty sure that would be the greatest thing, the greatest addition that happened in the past few years with the 49ers, because for me, Joe Staley represents everything what the 49ers is.
Yeah. Can you say what Staley said? Can you tell the people what Staley said?
I just wrote an article about that, and if I remember well, he said that the 49ers reached him to join the coaching staff.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Got it.
That's what he said, and I think that we can agree with that. All the 49ers fans would be really, really happy with Staley joining to the coaching staff. I'm pretty sure that he would punch some respect into the eyes of Mike McGlinchey, and hopefully he could teach him how to stay on his feet during pass blocking.
Yeah,
and I think that Staley was a natural born leader for this team for years. Maybe not how he talks about football and things like that, but I'm pretty sure that at the end of his career he was a really inspirational guy for all these youngsters that the team signed during those years, and just sign him.
Okay, here's the thing. I'm sure that the Niners would love to have Joe Staley on their coaching staff. They have Wes Welker. They have former players that they like. Joe Staley would be great at it. He would be great as an offensive line coach. He would take the time. He would have the knowledge. He'd have the expertise. I just don't think he wants to do it. Here's why. First of all, people don't understand how hard of a job a position coach is. It's like 7 a.m. to 9 p.m, 7 days a week, and you get paid maybe $100,000. They're very hardworking, normal people. And you got to work. You got to live in Santa Clara. You got to live near the facility. You got to put a ton of work in. You got to do a lot of specialized work with every single player in your position group. And I just don't get the feeling that Joe Staley wants to move away from San Diego. I feel like he's chilling right now. Maybe I don't know what he's doing, but it's a lot of work. Maybe in a couple of years, once he's enjoyed retirement, he'll have the itch to get back in the game. Like, I feel like Frank Gore would be willing to live in Santa Clara, do the grunt work and all the hours that required to be whatever. But I don't know. I feel like Staley really likes the good life in San Diego right now. It's the sense I get.
Well, then if he doesn't want to join to the coaching staff, maybe we just have to try to sign him as mentality and motivational coach for this team.
Yeah, that way he can just live in San Diego and do little motivational speeches via Zoom. Domain Threat says, and honestly, if Sherm won't move to safety, which he would be great at, BT-Dub, he should coach as well. Again. Being a position coach is not glamorous and is not super highly paid. So Sherman could do that, or he could go probably get a very lucrative podcast deal. You know what I'm saying? He could get millions of dollars to be an announcer or a podcaster. Yeah. So what's he going to – I don't know. Maybe he's dying to be a coach, or maybe he wants to make a lot of money and be a personality, I would think he'd want to do that.
Guy. I think that he is a smart guy, and if he decides that he will end his career as a football player, he will never be a coach in the NFL.
I think he's got too much potential as a podcaster. Yeah. It seems like he's already been dipping his toe in that water. I mean, he already does a podcast with Chris Collinsworth and Pro Football Focus. I can only see that I mean, you look at guys like Rob Gronkowski and Tony Romo and other former players who have retired, become announcers and spokesmen of the league. He would be really good at it. Plus, all the other guys are white. He's not. It'd be nice to get some diversity in the pregame. He'd be like, he could be the heir apparent to Michael Strahan or whatever. He could do all kind of stuff, but there is way too much white representation in those little NFL things, and he'd be like, he'd be right up there.
He'd be really great. Diversity into those things,
no doubt. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely think that's the direction he's going to go. He's a natural at it. Also, be a natural coach. All right, the Shanny Files, like the X-Files. We've been talking about this a lot, but we may never know what happened to OTAs. Did they commit a violation? Did they not commit a violation? Does it matter? I'm just curious. I guess it doesn't matter. But I'd like to know, like, what happened in your opinion based on the evidence and the aliens that you've talked to.
Why I wanted to talk about this topic is because right now what I think of is the leaders of this organization, the San Francisco 49ers, are somehow on a hot seat, but it's not like they are going to get fired in the next 1 or 2 years. It's because fans, a lot of fans, may have lost their trust in Kyle Shanahan. And with this thing, with the OTAs, he is not working on rebuilding that trust. And if a team, an organization, lose the support of their fans, they are just dead somehow. And some time ago we were talking about the development that Kyle Shanahan was going through personally, but these things, being not honest with the fans, is not a sign of that development, and that's why I'm a bit afraid what is going to happen in the future. And I'm pretty sure that everybody is watching Kyle right now. So Kyle, if you are watching us right now, you should be careful, mate. Be careful.
Everyone's waiting for like some maturation to happen with Kyle. He's very brilliant, but we're waiting for like, leadership, maturity, grown-upness, all that stuff. And then he goes viral throwing a football across the street. And what I had Vish on nothing against Kyle, but Vish's epiphany about Kyle is, man, this guy is 20 years old. The reason that the fans like him, that Vish likes him, that the 25-year-old players like him is because they actually have a head coach who deep down inside is just like them. Yeah, he really relates. And that's probably one of his biggest assets is how he relates to players. I feel like probably Mike Shanahan figured that out early. Like, man, my son is brilliant, but also he relates to these younger generation of players. It's a very rare combination, and he's going to be special. Yeah, that is true. That's what makes Kyle. But at the same time, it's also the other edge of the sword. Like, how come he can't get organization right in practice? Well, he's 20. He's 20. Who doesn't care about organization? That's boring. That's freaking boring. Roll up the balls. Let's get some competition going. I totally relate. Maybe I've got a little Arrested Development too, but I think that's what we're seeing. He's not. I mean, Jim Harbaugh was 12. Jim Harbaugh was like in middle school. I mean, some of the stuff he did was petty, and some of he lacked some social cues, man. Like, dude, you can't talk like that in front of people, or you can't dress like that in this occasion. Like, you know what I mean? Like before the Super Bowl, when he came out, he's like, dude, you can't dress like that. Anyway, Kyle is definitely more great. He's in college. Kyle's like, a senior in college, and he's in like the best frat, and he's got like maybe 2 classes that he's taken, and he's living the good life, and he's the most popular dude. No question. That's Kyle.
Well, because of that immaturity, I'm a bit afraid of because of the next season. Why? Because I still think that Kyle lacks that leadership which head coach needs. And we lost the guy who brought in that leadership, and that was Robert Saleh.
Yep. Now, D'Amico Ryans is a bona fide leader since he was a coach. So I think that's maybe a big reason they promoted him, is they understand Kyle Shanahan's strengths and weaknesses and what complements him. And what complements him. Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure if Ryans couldn't perform and the defense just will not perform, then players will lose their trust in him. And after that, doesn't matter if you have...
if you're cool, If you're not, it doesn't matter. You got to win. So I do think it's interesting that Kyle Shanahan can kind of let his hair down, so to speak, and do this stuff where he's throwing balls and hanging out with players and acting like a kid. Most coaches are at least trying to create the impression that they're working 24/7, that their job is on the line, that they're nervous. He's so carefree. He acts like he has 2 Super Bowl rings, like he won, and he's a champion. He's a made man, and he's not. He's not. And if he has, another losing season, people are really going to start looking at him a different way. And I don't think he'll ever change. So it's interesting that people like it now. But at a certain point, it can all be used against him. And I hope he understands that. Well, he does. He does. But he's supremely confident that he's going to win this year. God love him. I think he's going to win too. He's got. I think.
Hopefully.
For him. Hold on. There was one more from Domain Threat. We got you, Domain. Quick, unrelated side note. I expect Kinlaw to make a huge jump this year, along with Ayuk, who didn't have a true minicamp last year. What do you think?
I'm pretty sure that Ayuk is going to make that huge jump this year. And hopefully Kinlaw will be better as well. But to be honest, I will always compare him to DeForest Buckner because we just traded him for DeForest Buckner, if I simplify those things. And he will never be as great, in my opinion, but prove me wrong. Jay.
With Kinlaw, I feel like, I don't know, he could make a huge jump, but if the expectation is that he's going to become this super refined pass rusher, I think you're going to be let down. He's a very good run defender who's very powerful and can push the pocket. Just like Eric Armstead. Eric Armstead is on his second contract making almost $20 million a year. Kinlaw could get there too. Kinlaw could have a very successful career. But if you're expecting him to be the kind of guy who gets you like a guaranteed 8 sacks a year like Buckner, because he's got the swim move and the counter, and it's like, nah, I just don't see that happening. But maybe. I just don't. I mean, like, I feel like that's not a skill you develop in the NFL. That's a skill you develop before. That's a skill set you have. That's what Buckner had at Oregon. Anyway, the other question here was Ayuk. I do agree that Ayuk is going to look every year. There's a player on the Niners who totally remakes his body, and Ayuk was built last year. But have you seen him recently?
He's is looking like a monster right now.
He's huge.
Yeah,
his chest compared to Debo's. I made a mistake yesterday. I called out Dante Pettis, and I need to stop with that. But when I saw Brandon Ayuk, someone said like year 2 Brandon Ayuk loading. I was like, okay, now do Dante Pettis. Like the thing about Dante Pettis to me, and I swear I'm going to stop talking about you, Dante. I like you very much, but it feels like he's built for the NBA or the MLB.
Yeah.
His body isn't really built for contact. He doesn't look like he lifts weights that much, if he lifts them at all. And so that's a problem. Ayuk looks like he hasn't left the weight room in 5 years. He is super duper yoked. And I think if Dante Pettis had the same commitment to the weight room that Brandon Ayuk has, Dante Pettis would be a very successful NFL player. But he's not. He's built like a basketball player. So Ayuk,
the only concern
really good.
The only thing that I'm worried about is if you are just putting up so much weight to your body, that will decrease your acceleration and speed. And those were things which made him one of the best rookie receivers last season. So
that's true.
Hopefully he still has that speed and acceleration.
Also, there's a lot of similarities to me between Ayuk and Bosa. These are 2 of the hardest workers on the team, 2 guys who never leave the weight room, 2 guys who have maxed out their frame, 2 guys who've had core muscle surgery. You know what I mean? Like they, you almost wonder, is there, like if Ayuk wasn't a football player, he looked like Dante Pettis. He'd be walking around at 6 feet, 170, 175, but no, he's like 205 now. He has maxed out that frame. And my only thing with Ayuk is like, our little thing's gonna pop. Break little soft tissue things, because he does have that history, and his body is like, as I said, it's really maxed out. So while he's healthy, while Bosa's healthy, it's going to look very good. It's going to look very, very good. And I'm not wishing injuries on Ayuk. That's the only thing that's my only hesitancy with him, because he's got the skills, he's got the work ethic, he's got the body. He's going to be a stud while he's on the field. I'm confident of that. Yeah. Good stuff, Domain. All right, let's moving on. We can see Botond have a lot Botond and I have a lot to talk about because it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while. All right,
Yeah.
last one. People are hating on the Niners this year. Last couple of years, people were saying, man, Kyle Shanahan's the next Bill Belichick, and the Niners are the best team in the NFC. I mean, people were saying that last year. People were saying that the year before. Now, there's all this skepticism like, they're right. They're okay. Like year 5 of Kyle Shanahan building this thing, and people are like, man, 12th best roster, 13th best roster. What do you think of that?
Wow. The main reason why I think that we are not higher right now is our starting quarterback, because nobody thinks that Jimmy will bring this team into the Super Bowl again.
Right.
And to be honest, they are right. If Jimmy just doesn't change a lot, if he's not going to change a lot next season, if he just cannot find himself who he was in 2017, then he won't go to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. Why? Because we just changed our defensive coordinator. We just want to try some new things on the offensive side of the ball. We may just leave that zone running scheme that lead us into one of the greatest rushing teams in this decade. There are a lot of questions. A new defensive coordinator and an injury bug.
Yeah. See, that's fair. If PFF and ESPN want to hold the injury stuff against the Niners, that's fair. You could say they could say, well, it's a very good roster when healthy. Only problem is it hasn't been healthy in like a decade. So we're not going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they will be healthy. The benefit of the burden of proof is on them. And we're just going to split the difference and call them mediocre. I think that's fair. But, all these injury issues, if they just had a good quarterback who could stay healthy and make other players better, they'd be okay. Because injuries do happen in the NFL. And the problem with the Niners is that the main injury culprit is their starting quarterback. That's a problem. And this year, whether or not Jimmy starts week 1, when he leaves, whether it's by getting benched or getting injured, it's Trey Lance time. And the Niners haven't had a backup like him. So I think that people might be underestimating how good this roster is. Now, if Nick Bosa gets hurt again, if Jason Verrett goes down, they're in trouble. But
yeah, I just wanted to talk about that top 10 on the other hand, because Dallas Cowboys are there. Minnesota Vikings are there. And LA Rams are there. And for me,
did they put the Cardinals top 10?
If I remember well, yes, but I will check it out.
Because if they didn't put the Cardinals top 10, then they really don't know what they're talking about. Because the Cardinals have an amazing roster. The question is their coaching staff. If you're actually being
nope, there's no Cardinals.
See, that's what I'm saying. This is a ridiculous list. I don't know what they're using. PFF is supposed to be so scientific. It's not a good list. The Cardinals are a really good roster. The Rams have a ton of dead cap. I think they just kind of look at the teams with the star power, the Pro Bowlers, and kind of rank them that way. But I disagree with this list entirely.
Yeah, and I agree with you, because what I'm always saying for the Hungarian fans who are just looking to PFF stats, because we just paid for the next gen stats from the PFF, I'm always saying them that if you agree with the PFF, you agree that Mike McGlinchey is actually an almost elite offensive tackle.
Yes, that's true, man. I just snorted. Man.
So if you agree with PFF, well, you have to analyze. You have to make a lot of research to make these kind of rankings relevant, in my opinion. And it's not just like PFF rankings and things like that.
I'd be curious to know where these organizations ranked the Buccaneers roster last year. Because my theory is that these prognosticators are afraid to rock the boat. And so what they basically do is rank everything based on last year. And they have a tough time looking ahead. And based on last year, the Cardinals are kind of mediocre. But if you look at what they've done and look at their roster and their salary structure, the team's loaded. They got JJ Watt for like nothing this year. They got AJ Green for like nothing this year. They got rid of Larry Fitzgerald. They got they got Chandler Jones back. They have a very good roster. The question is the coaching staff. No question about it. So I don't think a lot of these places are really looking forward. And I bet you they missed on the Bucs last year. Last year I was on this site talking about the Bucs all offseason, being like, you don't understand. They just went from Jameis to Brady. They're bringing in all these Brady acolytes and disciples. And people are like, nah, it's the first year. They're going to need time to gel. No, they're not going to need time to gel. So yeah, forget this ranking. I don't put any stock into it. It's just because the Niners went 6-10 last year.
Last season, they ranked Tampa to the 5th best team in the NFL.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay. Where do they rank Cleveland right now this year? That's a great roster.
2nd, I think, if I remember well.
Okay.
They ranked them as the 2nd best roster right now.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I think I think the Niners and the Cardinals are two of the biggest sleepers in the NFC. Yeah. Kyler Murray and Trey Lance are going to look good this year, I think. Trey Lance is going to get on the field eventually. He's going to be better than Taysom Hill. He's going to be better than a lot of these quarterbacks in the NFC.
Yeah, I just can't wait to see him playing football.
Can't wait. First preseason game is in like what, month and a half?
Yeah, hopefully we will broadcast it. So hopefully I will be there.
Oh yeah, I can't wait, man. All right, that's our show for today, guys. Thank you for watching, Botond. Thank you. You look great, by the way. You really.
Thank you.
It's a nice suit.
Thank you.
That's great.
I have to buy some new ones because
it's nice. You look like you're like an Italian model. It's like it looks good.
Thank you. Yeah. I had some time next to a pool, so I got brown. And what you are not seeing right now is that most of my skin is as red as a rose. So
mine too. I totally burned my feet, and this morning was the first shower I could take since the 4th of July, 3rd of July. 3rd of July. It's been, not shower. I've had to take cold showers because my feet are on fire. But fine. It's the worst sunburn I've ever had. So I don't know what I was thinking.
Well, get well soon, Grant.
Thanks. You too. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, everyone. I'll be back
as always
in an hour and 15 with Sibila Bakzaza. See you guys then.
See you guys.